Thanks for joining us at Learnwake today. My name is Brandon Judd, and I'm responding now with this analysis screencast video to an analysis request on a Heelside wake-to-wake jump. This one was submitted by Seth here, and Seth, thank you for submitting this, and especially for your detailed comments in your submission. For those just now joining us, I'll kind of cover those real quick. He says that he feels like his heel side jumps are inconsistent, that he gets decent pops sometimes, but the nose of the board is high on most of his jumps. Feels like he can do some grabs really quick, but feels like he's lacking hang time to really add style to them. Current riding settings is 21-ish miles an hour at 65 feet with about half ballast. And Seth says he hasn't really bothered working on his toe side jumps, but probably should be. He just really wants to get his heel side jumps more consistent, and really wants some help on how to correct the nose high issue. Then gives us some description on some of the boards he's riding and stuff. So, Seth, thank you very much for that. That helps me get in your head here. Another thing to note is that in this, I'm going to first address your nose high issue because that's what you seem to be most concerned about right now. But then, so I'm going to tell you what you want to hear first, but then I'm going to tell you something you may not want to hear, but it's going to help you with your progression the most. The problem is it's usually the route we don't want to go is usually the way for us to progress the quickest, if that makes sense. So the advice that I'll give you has a lot to do with the toe side jumps you don't want to work on, has a lot to do with some of the other things that you could be working on. And I know right now that your heel side jumps feel like that's what's stopping you from progressing because you haven't really gotten to this comfort level there that you want to get. So we're going to work on that first. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to tell you how everything overall can improve, and especially your heel side jumps. So a couple things to note. You mentioned that you could do these like quick grabs, but felt like you didn't have time in the air for them. So in this video, you go through and you do some normal jumps, and then there's some of your jumps where you put nose high down on the bottom. I mean, that looks fine, to be honest. Here it says nose high, but every time you do a nose high jump, let's take a look at this. Every time you do a nose high jump, I notice that you take your front hand off the handle. You'll see it. It just kind of peaked above the not the clouds, the trees back there. I don't know if you saw that. Let me see if I can. There we go. So if you look really close, you can see your front hand's off the handle. And I don't know if that's because you were going for a grab or not, but every time you do a nose high jump in this video, you're one-handed and you let your front hand off the handle. And what that does is it makes you you have this crossbody pull going on with your back hand because there's more tension on your backhand, which makes you feel like you're going to get twisted front side. So when people take their hand off the handle, they keep their lead shoulder like forcibly in front of them, like on that one. They keep their lead shoulder forcibly in front of them, which causes their back arm to stay like pinned to their side, like you can see there, and then it'll make the back of your back shoulder, sorry, it'll make your back shoulder dip and stay low, and keep your front shoulder high, which causes your board to do the same thing as your shoulders. If you come in a very protected way, like if someone was gonna, like if you were playing hockey and someone was gonna come check you from the side, a lot of people will raise the shoulder that's leading into the check a little bit, to protect themselves if someone's coming at them. And this is kind of what you do naturally at the wake, because the wake is a big force that you seem to be not super comfortable with, especially if you're letting go with that front hand, and you protect yourself by keeping your back shoulder low. This is just a coping mechanism with fear, for the fear that you have of, it's a subconscious fear of coming into the wake that something's going to come at you, or that the wake's going to push at you too hard, or you're going to get opened up and land. I mean, you're kind of protecting yourself from your landing here by keeping the nose high. So, I mean, like, if there was going to be, like, let's say that you were going to run into the shore here, you would naturally keep your nose really high so that you wouldn't go over the nose and fall forward on your face onto like all the dirt. So you would try to do that so that your tail would be the first to land. So this tells me that you're a little uncomfortable in the air, a little bit uncomfortable landing, and that's it's sort of a symptom of its own problem, if that makes sense. So the reason that you're uncomfortable in the air is because you're uncomfortable in the air. You know what I mean? Like you're not trusting it and allowing yourself to relax. So the way to get past that, the solution to that is not to repeat this a billion times, because the more that you practice this, the more it's going to be ingrained the improper way. So practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent, and only perfect practice makes perfect. So if you want to be able to get it perfect, you have to practice it the perfect way. And by doing it this way right now, you're doing it imperfectly a bunch of times and just hoping it will fix itself. And it's just going to deepen that rut that you're stuck in. So uh, let's talk a little bit about ways you can get over that. So I'm not going to analyze this too much more because honestly, I really like your wake jumps. I think they're great. I don't think you have any issue with them. The biggest problem with your wake jumps is that that's all you can do right now. I coach your level of rider a lot where they're really comfortable doing heel side jumps, toe sides awkward and uncomfortable, but you just want to be able to go big on your heels and do like really perfect heel side jumps. And you want to check that box before you can move on to anything else because you feel like it's your closest, most achievable thing right now. So um, that that's very common. I wouldn't get down on yourself about that at all because it's very normal. The way to fight that is to go to the areas that you're uncomfortable, and just force yourself to do them. So here's a couple drills that I'd like you to practice. And by doing these things and putting yourself in other things, like it's so weird to say, but the more you ignore your heel side jump, the better you'll become at your heel side jump. It's sort of backwards, but it works. So like if you were to work on toe side jumps a bunch, and then work on like edging and riding switch and doing some reentry pops and like all that kind of stuff, by the time you come back to your heel side jump, all of a sudden all these little weird bugs and kinks are worked out. It just sort of happens. Like your subconscious sort of picks up on the physics of wakeboarding and makes some of these micro adjustments that you need. So the first thing that I'd have you do is called the ultimate warm up. Uh, this video basically walks you through everything you can do before you hit like do a wake to wake jump. So I would challenge you to do this. It has a lot of carving involved, a lot of ollies out in the flats, and some re-entry ollies on the face of the wake here. Doing the same kind of stuff, switch stance. It'll really get you comfortable. So that's the first one, is the ultimate warm up. I want you doing that every time you ride. The next one is learning how to get cuffed. And you may say like I'm not even comfortable with my normal wake to wake jumps. Why would I do this? You can look up in our search bar cuffed, like just search the word cuffed, and there will be a bunch of different cuffed drills like this down here. You have getting into the cuffed riding position is a one that you could look at. Forcing the blind position is another fun one. All of those things are very, very achievable for you right now, but I think you need to get comfortable in this position. And think about it this way. If you can be comfortable riding backwards, how much more comfortable will you be riding forwards? So kind of the only way to go forward is to learn how to do it backward right now. So this drill, speeding up switch progress, is a really helpful drill. It'll help you like learn how to kind of whip around corners and all of that so that you can start doing 180s instead of being really uncomfortable. And these drills will help build your board control and those skills that you'll need. Another one is the drill popping reentry ollies. They're really fun to do, and they really help you understand how the wake works and get really comfortable ollieing and pushing off the wake, and it'll teach you how to trip spins and flips that require it. So anyway, I would work on this. There's a whole drill here. And then when you go on your toe side, we have a bunch of toe side drills. There's the toe side leverage drill. There's this one I really like, which is cleaning up toe side pop, where you're on the face of the wake, learning how to twist properly. And this will give you a better foundation to be able to do toe side jumps. Um, so I would highly recommend you taking a break from your heel side jumps and then moving on to some of those other drills and working on those for a little bit. Just take a little hiatus from this, work on those drills a little bit, and then come back and revisit this. And you'll find that it just kind of overnight, magically, you feel way more comfortable on your heel side jumps. But specifically with the nose high thing, it's just because you're protecting yourself and you're staying back foot heavy, and you're not fully extending with your legs, and you're keeping that back arm on the handle tight and letting your front hand off the handle. And this is the only way to protect yourself from a hard fall. So that's happening just out of a protection mechanism you have. But anyway, sorry for the long-winded reply. I hope it makes sense. I know it's not what a lot of people are hoping to hear when they are looking for how do I jump higher. I say do surface drills, which is sort of backwards. So thanks for bearing with me on that. Good luck. I think you have a really good foundation here that we can really build upon. So we'll see you around the site. And if you have any other questions on any other tricks, feel free to submit another video and we'll analyze it.